Everyone has told you to give it to God. Nobody has ever told you how. A king once climbed a hill with a letter in his hand, a letter that said his city was next. He did not begin with an explanation. He opened it in the house of God and let every word lie open before him. This is what it looks like to give something to God. So why is the thing you gave him last week back in your hands tonight? Second Kings chapter 18. The army of the most powerful empire in the world was closing in. Sennacherib's own record claimed 46 fortified cities had already fallen. Jerusalem was the city he had not taken. The king's name was Hezekiah, and before he carried the letter to God, he tried to buy his way out. He emptied the treasury. Then he went into the house of God and stripped the gold from its doors, sent all of it to Assyria. The army came anyway. They sent a man to stand at the wall and talk. The officials asked him to speak in the language of diplomats. Their reasoning was simple. Not in Hebrew, the people are sitting on the wall, they can hear you. And he raised his voice and spoke in Hebrew. That was the point. The words were not only aimed at the king, they were aimed at the men on the wall. The message came down to this: your God will not save you. No God has saved anyone from us. Look at the cities behind me. Then the messengers came a second time, and this time they did not shout. They handed him a letter. Chapter 19, verse 14. Hezekiah received the letter from the hand of the messengers and read it. And Hezekiah went up to the house of the Lord and spread it before the Lord. Look at what he did with his body. He took the paper, he carried it up the hill. He walked into the house of God carrying the enemy's own words in his hands, and he spread it open before the Lord. He did not hide the letter behind a summary. He did not soften the part that kept him awake. He did not stand up and say, Lord, I bring you this difficult situation. He brought the letter. And then he prayed, open your eyes, O Lord, and see, and hear the words of Sennacherib, which he has sent to mock the living God. He is not asking for a feeling. He is not only asking for strength to carry it longer. He is asking God to look at the page. The threat that was written to break the men on the wall ended up in the house of God, open, every line of it exposed before him. The army was still outside, nothing had changed yet. But the letter was no longer his. You are carrying something folded. You've prayed about it more times than you could count. You have never opened it. Lord, I give you my family, and the fold stays closed over the name. Lord, I give you my health, and the fold stays closed over the word the doctor used. Lord, I give you my son, and the fold stays closed over the last thing he said before the door shut. You are not lying. You mean every word of it. You are handing God the heading and keeping the page. And there are reasons. Some things said out loud in full come out sounding like an accusation. Some things you have never said in full to anyone, and the first time will not be quiet. So you translate You bring the clean version and the folded thing stays in your hands. Psalm 55. Everyone knows the last part. Cast your burden on the Lord and He will sustain you. It fits on a cup. It ends conversations. Read what comes before it. For it is not an enemy who taunts me. Then I could bear it. But it is you, a man, my equal, my companion, my familiar friend. We used to take sweet counsel together. Within God's house we walked in the throng. He does not leave it at my difficulties. He names the man, He remembers the friendship, He remembers the road they walked to the house of God. He puts all of it down where God can see it. And after that, only after that, comes the line everybody quotes, cast it. Before He casts it, He names it. And this is the part that changes how you pray tonight. God did not need the letter. He knew what Sennacherib had written before the ink dried. He knew it while the messengers were still on the road. Hezekiah did not climb that hill to inform God. He climbed it to get the thing out of his hands. Opening it was never about God finding out. It was about the hands that were holding it. What stays folded stays in your hands. Some things do not fold into a page. There is no document for a house that stayed quiet. No paper for the years that kept arriving empty. 1 Samuel chapter 1. Long before the king and his letter, a woman went up to the house of God. Year after year, the same road, the same doorway, nothing in her hands. Her name was Hannah, and what she carried had no shape you could hand to anyone. The old priest was sitting by the doorpost watching her. Her lips were moving, no sound was coming out. She was crying in a way that did not look like prayer. So he stood up and told her to put the wine away. Sit with that. The one man in the building trained to recognize prayer looked straight at it and did not recognize it. And she answered him, "No, my lord, I am a woman troubled in spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but I have been pouring out my soul before the Lord." Pouring out, not offered, not presented. You cannot pour something out and still be holding it. She did not make it presentable first. She did not wait until she could say it in a sentence that sounded like faith. She poured it out before the Lord until there was nothing left to keep hidden. And then the old man blessed her. She received his blessing and went her way. And the text keeps one small detail that it did not have to keep. And the woman went her way and ate, and her face was no longer sad. Nothing outside her had changed yet. She walked out of that house exactly as childless as she walked in. Her face changed first. Later, a son came. The story does not hide that. But her face changed before her circumstances did. Her face carried peace before her arms carried the child. A king walked up a hill with a page in his hands. A woman walked toward the same God with nothing anyone could see. Both of them carried the whole of it in. Neither carried it out in the same way, and both walked back into circumstances that had not moved an inch. There is a word for this in the New Testament. Casting all your anxieties on Him because He cares for you. That verb appears one other time in the whole New Testament. Luke chapter 19, men throwing their cloaks onto a colt. The image is of weight leaving one set of hands and resting on another. Not gripping, casting. The kind of motion that ends with your hands empty. You can empty them because He cares for you. And it matters that the man writing this is Peter. He was in the garden when Jesus fell to the ground and asked for the cup to pass. Jesus came back to that prayer 3 times. The same prayer 3 times. Not because the Father had failed to hear him. And later, in the same letter, Peter writes one more line about the way Jesus carried it. But he continued entrusting himself to Him who judges justly. Continued. Not once, all the way through. So the man telling you to cast it is also the man who once reached for a sword and later wrote of someone who entrusted himself to the one who judges justly. That changes what tonight has to be. You are not being asked to hand it over once and be finished. You will wake up holding it again. That is not failure. That is the shape of the thing. And it does not make the trouble leave. The army was still outside the walls. Hannah still walked home without a child in her arms. Jerusalem was not taken. That is in the book too. And when God gave His reason, He did not point to the quality of the prayer. For I will defend this city to save it, for my own sake, and for the sake of my servant David. Hezekiah did not purchase deliverance with a well-worded prayer. The page was not payment. It is only the thing you were never meant to keep carrying. So tonight, say the name, say the number, say the sentence you have never said out loud to anyone. Say it badly, say it angry. Say it the way Hannah said it, with moving lips and no voice anyone could hear. Bring the page, not the heading. Open it, and leave it open. A king climbed a hill with the words that had kept him awake in his hands, and he left those words before the Lord. Climb the hill, open it, give it to God.
The first line is the one I can't, so I start somewhere easier. The month I can say the month, the room I can say the room. The sound the door made I can say that. What I was holding, what I set down, what I did not do next. I can say all of it if I keep my eyes on the floor. So here it is, out loud. Not the clean one, not the heading, out loud. And here is the name I've kept behind my teeth for years. Here is the number I know without looking. Here is the sentence I have never once let out of my mouth in front of anyone. Here it is, out loud, all of it in the open, out loud. You already knew every word of it. I am not telling you anything. I am putting it down. My hands are shaking, and they are open. Nothing outside this room has moved. The trouble is exactly where it was.